going to ask you that fire versus water, what very difficult?
Fluids is more tough. Fluids is more tough. I mean, fire itself technically is a fluid. You know, it's a plasma, so therefore it is technically a fluid. And the smoke simulations that you have, technically that is fluid simulation as well, because you've got the fire element, which has got, so you've got the smoke element, which has got a viscosity within it, and that's interacting with air, so that's displacing it around just as much as water would displace around any other medium. This is a similar kind of technology. But the thing is, convincing people, fire is easier to convince somebody than water. Previously, they both were pretty tough to convince. Doing digital fire was kind of hard, especially explosions, getting that right. Nowadays, it's easier than what it used to be. I say easier, it's a case of we've got better systems to throw more data out, or more, you know, the systems, the simulations themselves can be more complex. So therefore, it's giving a better result in the end. Fluid simulations, again, we can throw more data at it now. You know, the simulations for, like, there's one shot for when Sirivennela is drowning in the river. She's been swept away, and you see the water falling back. That entire river was digitally replaced because originally it was alive. We shot it down in Kerala, and the water wasn't fast enough. It didn't look dangerous enough. She was, you know, swimming away and everything, and she had this prop baby with her, and it was risky. You know, we had, you know, lots of crew on standby, ropes, guide ropes and everything holding her back so she was safe. But the water itself did not aesthetically look meaty enough, so that entire water was replaced. That took days to simulate. Days and days to simulate, and days to render, to get that fine detail. So you've got a simulation for the underlying water, you've got a simulation for the top water, you've got a simulation for the foam, you've got a simulation for the splashes. All of these need to gel in right. And the problem is, everybody is an expert. Whether you know it or not, every single one who watches any CG fluid work is an expert in computational fluid dynamics. Because everybody knows what it's supposed to look like. And if they don't know it, they don't realize it, but they know when something's wrong. The same deal with looking at a digital face. You're an expert at CG because you know what a face looks like. And you know what fire's supposed to look like. It's how things like miniature work struggles with things that are very, very tough to change the size of. Like if you're shooting, let's say you're shooting a galleon ship on the sea, you know, it's firing its cannons out the side. The galleon itself, you can shoot with, you know, scale factors. You know, it's like a 1/10 scale model or something like that. So all the texture work on the side, the paint work on the side is all 1/10 scale. All the cannons on the side, the little people on the top, the models are 1/10 scale, and it's lit at the power of 10, and it's shot with a 10 scale lens, and it's shot with a 10 scale shutter speed and shutter angle and so on, all this lot. So it's proportionate. But you can't scale fire. You can't scale water down. So that's the reason why miniature work looks weird when you start introducing things like real world elements of things you can't scale, like water and fire and smoke. So immediately the audience goes, something's not right. Something's not right in that shot, because they're used to seeing that scale in proportion to something that's X big. And if something looks off, then the entire shot, something's not right here. And it's the same deal with CG. If something doesn't appear to be exactly right, then the attention goes onto that. And you've lost them. So we struggle, we try, and you know, the amount of revisions that we went through for even like the smallest little trickle of water got so many revisions on it, because either we weren't happy or the director wasn't happy. So we polished and polished and polished to get it right. Some we managed, some we didn't. You know, put hands up to it. We tried our hardest with it, and you know, for the most part it all worked. There were some which, like, we tried our best with it, and because the structure was so off, it just wasn't coming. So therefore we cheated in composition. We either sourced stock to replace that element, or we placed like a branch, you know, and framed the shot accordingly so it looked like it was intentional in the composition, but not, it's actually hiding something. Yeah. But there's some shots that we couldn't simply get away with. You know, there's some shots which were, you know, we knew were going to be tough. We knew they were going to be there, and there was no physical way we could get away with, you know, any 2D techniques to salvage it. There's one shot which we lovingly call the Angel Falls shot, which is the introduction to when Pravas has finally made it to the top of the waterfall. There's one that kind of goes over the top, camera comes around, you see the wedge, the top ledge. It's basically revealing the top, so you start across there, you come round, and then you come to here. So that waterfall shot there, the entire thing was digital. It had to be, purely because there was no 2D footage that we could work with that had that, because it got so much perspective change and dynamicism in the shot. There's no way it had to be totally digital. So all the rocks was modelled and matte painted. All the water was fluid sims. The splash layer itself was about 30, 40 different layers of simulations, from the underlying drops to the splashes on the top to the interacting with the rocks, for breaking around the side of the rock itself. So, and that was one of the last few shots that we finalised on. And then Pavan, one of our comp artists, put it all together, and it was created the massive drop down there, and utilised some photography that I'd shot from a plane for the ground elements and whatever kind of thing. So that was one of the few that we definitely had to, you know, work with simulation work on it. Same deal with some shots of the waterfall jump and the Tarzan episodes. Again, no way could anything be filmed in that respect. So therefore, it had to be totally 100% digital. Same deal with, like, obviously, you know, the wide city shots. There were some shots which we amalgamated and enhanced from drone cam shots that we did on set, but then the director went, okay, I want the camera back here. Let's replace the entire shot digitally. So it's like, okay, fair enough. So sometimes things take you for a curve. Sometimes we can, you know, you use the tools that you have available and the experience that you have, and brainstorming the hell out of it with everybody in the studio. So right, this, you know, even if he comes up with something, the client comes up with something totally crazy, why? Not to the point of why, it's how. How can we achieve this? And it's not a case of, no, sorry, we can't do it. It's a case of, this is going to be tough. It's going to look cool. How can we do it? I mean, that Angel Falls one, like I say, we struggled on that for a very, very long time. Very, very long time, months and months and months and months. You know, so many R&D tests, different ways of doing it. I sat on it, my stuff went off, you know, my stuff didn't work. A bunch of the other Houdini guys sat and blasted that out. And again, so many layers went into this thing. And, you know, some of our senior comp guys put that together, and, you know, so many people put their, not necessarily 2p's worth in, but contributed to the development of it, and it came through in the end. There were some other shots in that entire sequence where we tried the same methodology, didn't work, simply didn't work. So, what the heck are we doing? Okay, right, so thankfully we managed to source layers and footage, and again went back to old school methods to, you know, cut elements and stage those together, and even managed to pull this dynamic camera move out from the side, pulling out when he's swinging from the top, you know, and that worked. So sometimes, you know, the simplest ways and the old school ways are the best. You don't necessarily need to go down this, you know, huge complex route if not necessary, but sometimes in some shots you definitely have to. So there are, you know, elements to it which we are familiar with. As for the whole story, he's keeping it pretty close. He's keeping it pretty close. I know what's happening in the climax. I'm not telling you. There's not enough money or death wish on the planet I could hope for. And do I know why Katapa killed Baahubali? Yeah.
No?
Of course I know.
Good luck with that.
I'm not telling you.